Thank you for joining us. The short session will be on the care support pyramid. 4 things we can do to make a big difference to the experience of people at work. We'll look at trying to understand what makes a difference to people's experience at work, establish a consistent approach that still has a local specific action involved, provide some options for local teams to construct their specific interventions, and try and discuss the relevance and importance of these 4 domains in your teams. Our experience of work. Wow, so many things make a difference to our experience at work. How we've applied for that job in the first place. Sometimes our experience of our job is influenced from the application process, the recruitment process, and that initial onboarding. Right from that moment, our experience of our role and our job is starting to take shape. Things like getting to and from work can make a big difference to our experience. The classic is car parking, makes a difference to people's experience. What about the environment, the physical environment we work in? Is it too hot, too cold? Is there a rest area? Is the rest area of a high quality? When I get that opportunity for a 20-minute cup of tea and sit down, do I feel like I'm resting, recovering, and getting myself ready for the rest of the working day? Do I feel safe at work? Not just safe physically, PPE would be an example, but safe psychologically. Can I bring the whole of me to work? Is it safe for me to speak up here? How am I looked after? What kind of work do I do? Do I do work which gives me meaning? Do I do work which makes me feel proud? Am I competent to do what I'm doing? Am I being invested in? Do people value me enough to invest in me and grow my competence? When I'm struggling, how am I treated? Am I treated as a failure if I'm starting to show signs of distress and anxiety? Or am I helped? Do people ignore me and move away from me when I struggle? Or do people move closer to me to help when I struggle? All these things make a huge difference to our experience at work. We are not short of evidence. We're not short of research about the differences that can be made to people's experience at work. Several papers came out during the pandemic, but there was plenty of work beforehand, starting back perhaps maybe at Maslow's hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy indicated that some physiological needs needed to be put in place before some of those higher functions. Have I got water? Have I got food? And then some safety. Is it safe here for me? But now other psychological things matter to us. Do I feel proud of the organisation? Do I belong here? Have I got friends here? Have I got good relationships here? Does the work I do give me meaning? And am I valued? And do I make an impact? Does my work make a difference? So many things make a difference to our experience at work that we can sometimes get lost. How in our leadership, how as a good teammate and a colleague, how do I make a difference to these experiences? So the 4 dimensions that we think if you focus on, you can start to measure, see, and get the benefits of experience at work. Hygiene factors. The relentless attention to working conditions. Always, always, always try and make people's working conditions better. That might be in the environment they're working in, the quality of rest areas, the quality of food and refreshments. It is food for an organisation that in healthcare that is 24/7. Do we have good food 24/7? What about flexible working? Yes, I want to be a good employee. I want to be a good professional, but I also want to be a good mum and a good partner. Do we have great policies that support that? Transport, benefits, rewards. Do I have the resources to do my job well? Am I informed of what's going on in the organisation? Does communication reach me? Does the technology I use actually deliver? And the policies and processes, do they help or do they hinder me doing a great job? So let's take some pride in getting those basics right. They may not be the high impact. They may not be the newsworthy items. Improving a staff room on a ward might not be ground shaking improvements which get the headlines, but I tell you, they'll make a huge difference to those people in that area on each and every day. So hygiene factors, a relentless attention to working conditions. Then we've got healthy leadership, the idea that our relationships in the team and especially with our line manager matter hugely. If those relationships aren't well, If those relationships are not cared for, they make a big difference to our experience at work. So we need to be active in building effective teams. We need to align to shared goals. We have to have a purpose, but we also have to build relationships with each other. Sometimes we have to talk about difficult things to be a better team in the end. We need to be compassionate. We need to be kind to each other. Our leadership needs to be visible and inclusive. We need to also be collaborative with other teams. Or our team needs to work with other teams in order for the organization to deliver high quality, compassionate care. But teams work really well when they have a shared sense of purpose, that people feel they belong. I belong in this team, and promote a sense of autonomy, that I can take some control. I have some ownership of some things. We believe that everybody in the team has potential, and the way to take that potential to its maximum is to coach people to their best. So healthy leadership. Self-care and well-being. We've heard a lot about well-being over the last few years, but well-being really matters. So we need to create a climate that it's okay not to be okay, that it's safe for you to admit when you're struggling, when things are hard for you, and that part of the pattern and the habits of the team you work in, part of the culture you work in, is to check in on each other, to ask people how they are, to have conversations as a group about how the experience of work is impacting on them. To make sure that well-being is recognised as an important part of team life. And when people do say they're struggling, how we respond to them matters. Do we dismiss them? Do we think that makes them weak? Do we think that if they start to struggle, they're not cut out for this job? Do we think it might have an impact on people's careers? Do you think it's unprofessional in a caring profession to want to be cared for yourself? Well, all those things are wrong. It's not selfish to look after yourself, it's selfless. If you look after yourself, if you stay well, if you create really good well-being habits for you, you'll be able to look after people much, much better. And those people may be patients if you're a direct care colleague, but they may be the team you work in. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's selfless. Taking care of yourself is not unprofessional, it's professional. It matters that you stay well so that you can care for others. We use the metaphor, put your own oxygen mask on first. So you're on the aeroplane and the attendant tells you if you lose oxygen pressure in the cabin, a mask will come down. Put your own oxygen mask on first, even if you're with small children. Make sure your oxygen mask is on first. And the idea behind that is if you're struggling to put an oxygen mask on somebody else and you pass out blue, now you're passed out blue, there's no oxygen mask on the other person. You're not only not helping anybody, but now you need help. Put your own oxygen mask on first and stay well and look after others. But we may all find ourselves in a moment of being distressed, stressed, anxious, or upset. So the organisation needs to have immediate, high quality, overwhelming referral intervention services available that say, if you struggle, we will help you. If you struggle, we're going to be there for you. That gives people a real confidence, a real level of safety and support, that they know that if they struggle, the organisation will look after themselves. They have to look after them. And there are lots of options to do that within the organisation. So the care support pyramid, 4 dimensions, 4 areas that if you put the work into these 4 areas, then the experience staff have at work will improve. Hygiene factors, that relentless attention to working conditions. Healthy leadership, focus on those relationships, culture, team working, alignment, shared goals. Self-care, that idea that well-being matters, and you looking after you needs to be something we invest in. You looking after you needs to be something we really take seriously. And if you do struggle, yes, we will be there. Yes, there will be referral intervention services there to help catch you. So how do we make this real? How do we put this in place in every ward, every team, theatres, clinics, offices? So let's start by looking at those 4 dimensions as organisationally consistent. Across the organisation, that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to look at hygiene factors, healthy leadership, self-care, and then those referral intervention services. But in the middle of that, we want each unit, each ward, to have some local responses to those 4 consistent areas. So the questions that could be asked would be things like, In this unit, how are we improving hygiene factors? How are we improving healthy leadership? What do we do when our colleagues start to struggle? And do we know how to access referral intervention services here? So imagine this. Every clinic, ward, office, lab has this consistent organizational approach, but a local intervention. Here's what we're doing. Local, co-created, owned by the team. Here's what we're doing to improve healthy leadership, that consistent organizational approach to improving staff experience, and here's what we're doing to make it happen. We're creating a climate in this team, not just in the organization, but in this team, we're creating a climate where it's okay not to be okay, where we will look after you, where we'll create opportunities for you to look after yourself. Self-care matters in this team. And in this team, we know about the regional support offers. We know about the local organizational support offers. And we're going to make it really easy for you to access them, refer to them, and use them to stay well and to help your colleagues stay well. So each area might have these as physical posters, as you can see there, but might have them as electronic notice boards, whatever works in particular areas. But for consistent organizational approaches to experience, and for local specific team owned and team co-created opportunities to improve. So the care support pyramid, it's evidence-based, it's organizationally consistent, it requires local ownership, actions that are co-created within teams, driven by the values that really matter to people, has an open communication process so that people can see what's happening in their local area, but leads to some practical actions. Thank you, and if you want some more information on the care support pyramid, if you'd like a copy of these slides, or if you'd like copies of the images used so you can create your own posters and your own local initiatives, please just email me. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video.